friends, hope things are finding you well. You might be saying, why does the audio sound like this? This is a YouTube audio channel, and yet I hear this crazy noise floor going on. Well, let me begin to explain a couple things that happened over the last little bit. I got a new job where, first of all, I've been really busy with that. It's been really awesome, fantastic company. They do really great work, and in the meantime, before I was doing that, I was volunteering for a local TV station. Well, it turns out a lot of my equipment kind of went missing in the middle of me getting that new job and then finishing up their broadcast where I had a lot of my equipment. So now I'm kind of back down to a lot of my really scaled back equipment that I was not able to use before, I wasn't using before, rather, that back when I was doing these YouTube videos, I had a better setup. So I've lost some hardware, as well as my motherboard died on my MacBook Pro. It gave me a good 6.5 years, and that motherboard finally died. And what that led me to do is then have to order up an iMac. Now, I don't know if any of you have experience with getting an iMac in Australia. It is an absolute bitch. It took me about almost a month for it to show up. It was quite a bit overpriced compared to what I would get for my money back in the States, and that's before and after currency conversion. But that's just an explanation of what you're hearing right now. This audio is not normally what I would get, but the problem is I have a lot of recouping to do, and I've been on back and forth emails with customer support, and that just seems to be just a never-ending situation trying to get that stuff. So I apologize for that disclaimer. Everybody hates them, but that's the situation. Just want to give you that disclaimer about the noise you're hearing behind my vocals, which isn't always the case. So back down to the point of this video is I wanted to have you take a look at this unbelievable library from the company Fluffy Audio. You may have seen what I've done with them in the past with their solo viola and a few of their other instruments. They just are a brilliant sample libraries company, and they have reasonable prices on what they do. And this one is one of the most unique libraries I've ever encountered, called Rinascimento. And I may have even had the pronunciation of that incorrect, but the beautiful thing about this is that it gives you this massive library of Renaissance instruments from, I guess the Renaissance period of the year 1400 through 1600, thereabouts, of just instruments you're not going to find lying around. If you do, that's fantastic, but they have done this killer job of grabbing so many of them and putting in this nice convenient space for you. So if you had to do a project with it required some kind of Renaissance era type of stuff, or if you just want to get really experimental and do something totally different. I, for one, don't have any Renaissance projects coming up in my pipeline, but what I definitely like to do is take instruments that just have a unique and different sound to them, which you're absolutely going to find in this library. So what I'm going to do is start this off with the arch lute, and each individual instrument, I've taken them, and just as I loaded them up, I just kind of just went with my gut on each one of them and decided kind of just writing a new piece for each individual instrument. What the outcome was just different. Sometimes it ended up being longer sustained sounds. Some of them were more, ensemble type pieces. Some of them were just a solo kind of legato type of thing. The cool thing about it is each individual instrument is going to likely inspire you to do something new. And that's the effect it had on me. It just made me think in a new way and kind of inspired to try out new things. And I think that's the testament to a quality of a sample library, is if it sounds good enough and feels real enough that you're going to be inspired to create something new, and you can really tap into your creativity without the library getting in the way. And Fluffy has always been great about that, and this is absolutely no exception. In fact, this is probably the most ambitious project they've taken, and I'm just blown away by how much you actually get for your money in this. It's astounding, this entire list of instruments. And so let me go ahead and start you with the arch lute, give you a little bit to listen to there, and we'll take it from there. Gorgeous in every sense, and once again, mind you, one of the bugs I'm encountering is when I have it in mono, it actually will not read, and when it's in stereo, for whatever reason, my vocals are coming through. That's another thing I have to iron out, and I have no idea why. So anyway, Yeah, reference my old videos where I look like I actually have some idea of what I'm doing. So in the meantime, we'll keep going. Now that arch flute open strings, just the beautiful kind of sustain you have at the end of that. I'm gonna play that one more time. Just in the end. It's inspiring brand new sounds, and I think it's going to do for you. Let's move on to the next section where it's an arch flute, but the strings are not open now. I think I'm kind of tapping into a little bit of Skyrim type of, I don't know, a little bit of that intimate kind of feel. I find all these instruments have that intimate kind of sound, and it's cool because when you actually put them together, you can have some really fantastic results. Let's move on to the Baroque guitar. I'm definitely going to be using that in a lot of guitar work coming forward. I love the tone of that. Once again, just the intimacy, the really close up close kind of, just the quality of the capture of it. It just sounds so personal with what it's doing, and I know it's probably not the most elaborate or eloquent way to put that, but I think that it accomplishes something when you do that. When your instrument can sound like it's something that's of kind of a intimate quality to it, that it's not, you can't get away with that unless the quality is there. It needs to be kind of more personal and sound up close and up front. And I like when you have that with these types of instruments. They're just not extremely big, and they're just really unique sounding. So let's move on to just the non-open strings Baroque guitar. How about the Torino open strings? A lot of these I could have just kept playing, keep going on forever. Mikolaj Stroinski, the guy that did The Witcher 3, I interviewed him one time for a magazine, and I could see myself, if I was really up for doing some Witcher 3 covers, I would be busting this library out for sure. I mean, who knows if it reflects the right time period. I'm not much of a historian, but I think just the way that these sound, that kind of old world type of sound to it, I'm just really in love with it. Let's do the Citarino without the open strings now. Sorry about the visual disappearing. That happened before whenever I expand this. Just one of those classic bugs I keep running into, is it just disappears once I enlarge things. So just go figure. Just put that on the old list of weirdness that I'm dealing with right now. I don't really know why it's doing that. I wish I did. I don't. So this instrument is called the Colazione. I don't know the correct pronunciation of it, but it goes a little something like this. Let's move on to the Galicione. Once again, just I know I'm probably slaughtering some of these pronunciations. That sustain in that mood, I don't know why these instruments influence the way me to write you know, melancholy versus chipper versus just whatever feel, but I just love the sustain on that thing. Let's move on to some lutes now. Plectrum Lute. Let's try that again. We're getting back into some folk territory, a lot of this, once again, Skyrim type stuff. I love these lutes, just love them. The Theorbo open strings. To that bass note. Let's hear it, closed strings. Now let's move on, taking into the recorder territory, some really cool sounding recorders. This one is the Alto Recorder. Now we have recorders that are done where it's not just kind of like a haha, here's just a recorder. It's actually legit recorders, like quality recorders. And maybe I just haven't stumbled into them. Most recorder libraries I found are just some free, kind of just a one-off type of thing. Like, hey, check it out, here's a recorder. But we have a whole like library of actual legit classic Renaissance recorders. I think it's just crazy cool. That's obviously hitting down on the low range of things. The bass recorder, obviously by name. Now let's jump up to the Soprano recorder. Now moving to another range of the whole spectrum of things, let's all go over to the soprano. This other one is the Tabor Pipe, and I found this one to be really interesting. It's not a massive wide range on it, but it just sounds super cool. Check this out. Kind of a cool, like, abrasiveness to it. In a good way, though. Moving on down to the tenor. A very natural sound jumping between those notes. I think that was one of the first things I liked about that. Okay, let's skip into now our brass section, starting off with the Renaissance trombone. Some really crazy stuff here. Just cool. I want to slap some reverb on that, just make that last thing sustain out. Do some really cool stuff and kind of post-production, something like that. The cornet. Here's something different for you. Once again, sounding super natural and just so easy to use. I love it. I don't have to sit and add those cool new fluctuations in there, those little bits between the notes. It's just something that it just comes with naturally. I don't know how I just script a library, but I love that when I'm playing with this type of, just the way that it automatically does it by default, it already sounds great. Now, obviously the harpsichord is one that everybody knows and is familiar with the sound. Let's check out the Harpsichord Second. And there's the two of them, but I'm going to play the second one first. It's just what happened to be in the chronology of my library list. So here we go. So that's got kind of a cool thing happening with harpsichord, about what you expect, normal sounds. Now let's jump to the next one. I have no idea how to actually play that piece, just kind of by ear. I don't even remember what it's called because I'm not the most qualified to give my take on classical sounds, but that's what I normally think of when I hear a harpsichord, so therefore I played it on my 2-octave Oxygen 25M audio controller that I currently have. So going into organs, things get really cool here with Renaissance organs. They were definitely working with a lot of primitive types of materials, but just still came out with fantastic sounds on things. So let's give that a play. I love it because it sounds so cool. Organs always remind me of being back in church, which I don't like, but that to me sounds like an organ. Now, it doesn't have any kind of... I've noticed with a lot of organs, I find that I can't really tell if I'm hearing something that's been synthesized or not. Even on some that are legit sample libraries, I don't know why, but with the organ, even when I'm playing one in person, it just has like I don't know, just a very mechanical feel to it. And I like when it doesn't have that, and that's what I kind of felt with that positive organ. Let's jump over to the virginal organ. Now let us move on ahead to what they call the virginal. Now let's move on ahead to this instrument that is a little bit like a harpsichord, a virginal. Very cool. The Renaissance percussions I had a little bit of fun with. I had to go back a few times because I wanted to give enough layers to give you an idea of what it sounds like. Because, yeah, you can hit any random woodblock or any kind of, I don't know, just a tom, anything. Yeah, it sounds cool on its own, but really for me, percussion at its best is when you get to hear the ensemble and get them all together. Unless they're, of course, just supplementing an already existing orchestration with a bunch of different instruments. But since I'm just showing off the percussion end of things, I want to create kind of a whole percussion ensemble. So here we go. Dope. So cool. I could create a whole like war sound with that. That would sound like old school kind of Robin Hood type of something going on there. But it's I'm pretty sure I'm gonna use that with all different genres. Love it. Moving over to the alto crumb horn. These crumb horns are pretty crazy. They're a little bagpipey. And now to the tenor crumb horn. It's so crazy. It just sounds somewhere between a bagpipe and some kind of, I don't know, just a brass and bagpipe mix. I don't know how to put my finger on it. Now the bass crumb horn. Moving on. Last on the list is the VL. Let me give you one last bit on that, and that will be the actual conclusion of the list, this massive list of killer sounding libraries from the Rinascimento library from Fluffy. So currently, who is high on my list is Fluffy. Who is low on my list is Apple. I have gotten way more for my money from Apple in the past, and I'm astounded at how glitchy, buggy, slow this new iMac has been. I don't understand. But when I actually get the audio going, when I finally get there, I've had to fix up a lot of different crashes during this entire session, by the way. But making it all happen is just, at least you know when the library's there and it's all good, that you get your money's worth and it sounds the way you need to, and you have that ability to just be creative and get to work. Now, Fluffy Audio's Rinascimento library will have you covered on anything you need for your Renaissance project. I intend to actually use these for probably some sci-fi stuff. Now, hear me out. I'm probably going to take them and do some manipulating, but that's what I love about unique sounding instruments, is that the source itself sounds so different and so unique. And then when I get to take those and then apply that to something, a different genre than you would normally expect, that's when I really start to have fun. But then if I have a client who comes up and then says, we have this Renaissance era project, I'd like to know if you'd be interested in working with us, then I'll be fully equipped with everything I could possibly need to make that happen. So I just want to tell Fluffy, thank you so much for allowing me to do this review, and thank you for checking this out. I hope this helps point you in the direction if you're on the fence about Fluffy Audio's Rinascimento library. Absolutely check it out. Absolutely purchase it. I'm very, very happy with it. And if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. And once again, thank you for bearing with me on this ramshackle approach to doing an audio video, an audio YouTube video, because the fact that, yes, I'm missing equipment, and I'm also missing software because of my motherboard dying, and then license keys that have not been sent out to me that should have been a while ago sent out. So in the meantime, I hope you guys have awesome projects and find that your new goals are hit, and then you're able to get the projects that you want to be a part of. So just keep creating, keep cranking out new material, just keep making awesome things happen, and be excellent to each other in the process. Thank you again, Paolo from Fluffy. Thank you again, and I will catch you guys soon. Peace.